In this section of our presentation, I will offer a broad overview of PREMIS, briefly discuss its history, and identify a couple of central terms to keep in mind as we move forward. What is PREMIS? According to the Open Archival Information System Reference Model, preservation description information, or preservation metadata, is a vital element of archival information packages, and thus of successful digital preservation and curation. The intention of PREMIS is to assist institutions with digital object preservation needs to create and maintain this metadata. In this regard, PREMIS is actually at least three things. One, an effort to address the need for preservation metadata implementation strategies. Two, an ongoing working group. And three, a metadata scheme detailed and disseminated in the PREMIS Data Dictionary. As a project, PREMIS emerged from larger discussions about the general need for preservation metadata conducted in response to growing concerns among preservation and cultural memory communities over format obsolescence, an issue that often inspires popular and sometimes professional tendencies toward overly optimistic technological remedies or alarmist warnings of a coming digital dark ages. After decades of work and study, two prominent digital preservation strategies emerged as most promising for the archivally sound and sustainable preservation of digital objects: migration and emulation. Underlying PREMIS was an understanding that both strategies require technical information be recorded and kept about the original file and about ongoing file events if such efforts are to be successful. The PREMIS Working Group was formed in June 2003, sponsored by OCLC and the Research Library Group. The working group included experts in the field of preservation metadata and digital preservation issues drawn from many different countries in a variety of institutions such as museums, archives, and government agencies. Building on the work of the Preservation Metadata Framework Working Group, which had put forward a list of prototype metadata elements in a report issued in early 2002, the PREMIS Working Group was tasked with determining ways of making these prototype metadata elements, which PREMIS terms semantic units, implementable. As part of this work, the working group conducted a survey of institutions and organizations interested in digital preservation. The survey yielded a report in December of 2004 and was instrumental in informing the group discussions going forward. The group completed the major phase of its work in May 2005 with the release of Data Dictionary for Preservation Metadata, final report of the PREMIS Working Group. Following this release, the PREMIS Working Group was dissolved and a new group, the PREMIS Maintenance Activity, was created to maintain and update the Data Dictionary and promote its understanding and use. The primary work product of the PREMIS Work Group is the Data Dictionary for Preservation Metadata. PREMIS defines its Data Dictionary as, quote, a comprehensive practical resource for implementing preservation metadata in digital archiving systems. Since its release in 2005, the Data Dictionary has proven to be broadly applicable across the digital preservation community. Although representing a range of approaches, among the repositories which have implemented the PREMIS Data Dictionary are Stanford University Library, the British Library, the National Snow and Ice Data Centre, and the National Archives of Scotland, the UK, and Australia. As another indication of its success, the PREMIS Data Dictionary was awarded the 2005 Digital Preservation Award and the 2006 Society of American Archivists Preservation Publication Award. PREMIS identifies as one of its central goals the creation of an implementable set of core preservation metadata. The terms core and implementability are central to how the PREMIS Working Group understood its work and to its effort to move from the conceptual framework offered in the OAIS reference model to the implementation strategy represented in the PREMIS Data Dictionary. When PREMIS references core metadata, it defines core as, quote, things that most working preservation repositories are likely to need to know in order to support digital preservation. And when it references implementability, it preferences metadata values that, quote, can be automatically supplied and automatically processed by the repository. That is, metadata that can be supplied without the need for human intervention. As we move forward with this presentation and explore metadata and implementation in more detail, we will see how these two key terms drive PREMIS's practical approach to digital preservation metadata.